This is not a super detailed instructional. This is just going to be a review of the big three. So the Shin Slam is the one where I release my grip here, I spin toward the side, I reclasp my seatbelt, and I slam my shin into his shin, and I sit him aggressively to the side. And I do this in a way where there's enough room under his body for me to throw my bottom hook in, okay? And I have to be aggressive with this, and to be honest with you, if your partner is advanced, they have to sort of play along and make their hip light because they'll have an instinct to press their hip down. So I start here, I release it, I put my bottom hook in. So we're gonna spin here, I'll take a look. So I've got my bottom hook set. Now if he covers up and makes the elbow-knee connection here, I'm just gonna put this foot down. I'm gonna hip escape to give myself a little more elevation, a little more slack. I put my heel right on his hip, and I bully it down his leg into the quad, and I get my second hook in, okay? My knee position is gonna be slightly different. Instead of spinning and getting shin to shin here, I'm gonna take this knee and I'm gonna stick it in this pocket, okay? And I'm gonna do that with the aim of bringing someone to their side, but not quite all the way. What I wanna do is expose the space behind or between his heel and his butt so I can step over and start to peel it into my lap. So I go from here. We're gonna do this one a little slower. Release, spin, find that space, so look. All right, stop myself because I want you guys to see this detail. I already stepped over his heel. So with my seatbelt clasped, you're gonna want to fall to the side. As you fall to the side, you push your shoulder into your partner's neck, you peel that foot into your lap, and that twists his leg in a way that makes it very easy for me to get my bottom hook in. So we'll spin a little bit so y'all can see. Once again, bottom hook is in. So I base, hip escape, I bring my second hook in the exact same way, okay? So we were doing this from the bullfighter position last week, where when I smash his legs to the side, he wants to turtle and avoid the guard pass. So I would come here, I'd start to move around, and right here, I grab his hip, I put my hand on the mat, I put my rear foot on the mat, and then I thread this needle. I make the bottom hook, okay? From here, I hold his collar, I hip escape away, and I pull him into my lap. And once again, create the seatbelt up top. For the top hook to go in, I base, hip escape, bully that heel all the way through. We're gonna work these escapes. So I'm gonna have Joe get my back. And the reason I'm doing it from this seated position is not because it actually ever happens from here, it's because everybody can see everything that's going on. Now I'll tell you, the first 5 or 6 steps in this technique, I'm gonna explain them as steps, but they all happen as step 1. They happen virtually at the exact same time. Step number 1, I'm gonna make a baseball bat grip on his choking arm. Okay, so we have a choking side, we've got the non-choking side. I make my baseball bat grip here. It doesn't have to be a baseball bat grip, I just want a 2-on-1. So it could be a little bit of sleeve, back here, but I wanna control this arm so he's not free to choke me, okay? So as I'm doing that, I'm also gonna be activating my feet on the mat and activating my hips, getting my hips up nice and high. So feet must be here, and I must start bridging in. As I do that, my head position is already gonna start to find the non-choking side. So I don't just wanna roll toward the non-choking side like this because he maintains the dominant head position. This is not what I want. What I want instead is to do all those things I talked about. Control the arm, feet on the mat, bridge the hips, and then as I'm going back, I'm already thinking about winning that head position, okay? So once my head touches the mat, it's not coming off the mat because he might try to reclaim that head position. I'm also not lazy-legged with my hips low because there's no weight on him. He's not feeling any pressure. I have to put my feet on the mat, bridge and activate everything, and really put pressure on my head on the mat so I can maintain my position. Okay, you'll also notice that I've already started to turn my hips and my shoulders square to the ceiling. Everything we do in this escape, you have to think head, shoulders, hips. This is what's gonna beat the person's back control, okay? So when I get to this position, I'm constantly fighting the choking arm, constantly thinking about turning my shoulders and hips more and more to face the ceiling as opposed to facing the same side that his are. And then I'm shoulder blade walking up. So as I press with my feet, I walk my left shoulder blade, I walk my right shoulder blade, then my left, and then my right. And then at a certain point in time, I will feel his bottom hook weaken in a way that I can just step over it and sit down on his knee. And this is what I'm looking for. Now that bottom hook is beat. But I'm not gonna try to turn in because if I try to turn in and the guy's slick right now, he'll just retake my back or he'll mount, okay? So this is no good for me. What I wanna do is after I beat that bottom hook, I wanna stay disciplined, continue bridging, continue shoulder blade walking up, up, up until I'm at least a full head length above him. Now, a lot of people will say what you should do next is turn in and get on top, or turn in and try to get into the person's closed guard. But the truth is, if Joe's even a halfway decent grappler, he's going to be turning into the top position, and it's probably going to be a half guard trap. That is what happens 99% of the time when the person who has your back sort of knows how to grapple. It ends up in half guard, but that's a great win for me. That means I'm out of back control and I'm doing guardings, okay? So we're doing this, putting the feet on the mat, bridging the hips up. I'm already thinking about looping my head around his head. I don't want to lay down and then do that. I want to do that now. I want to be here. And I've already shifted my hips to face the ceiling. I don't want to face this way. This is weak. This is strong, okay? I fight the choking arm. I shoulder blade walk left, right, as I press through my feet. And as I continue moving up, I feel the bottom hook weaken. I step over. I continue moving up. I don't try to turn in or get on top yet because he's either going to mount or get my back. I keep going up. Once I'm a full head length above, we're going to have our scramble, okay? And it's probably going to be him coming on top and getting trapped in my half guard as I push his leg down into it. That's how it looks most of the time. One more note on this. One time I will use my hand is to facilitate better head position. So let's say I do everything else right except Joe's head position is superior. I get to the side, I've even turned my hips a little bit. I fought the choking arm, I've activated my feet and my hips, they're raised up real high, but his head is in my way. And no matter what, as I try to loop my head around, he follows with his head, he stays in my way. So one thing I'll do is I will take one grip off. It's always gonna be the one on the non-choking side, my escape side, and I'm gonna doorstop his head. So as he follows my head, follow my head tight, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna put my hand here. I'm gonna smack him in the face, okay? And I'm gonna put my elbow on the mat. And I'm not trying to move his head around my head. I'm just trying to slow him from following me. And now I can get that better head position. Everything else is the same. Okay. He's going to grab a slightly different grip this time. We're going to do it on the other side so you can see. I said that you want to go toward the non-choking side, which is true, but we also have some tools to escape when we're on the choking side here, okay? So I want to make this just slightly more complicated. What I want to do is I'm going to actually have Joe sink his thumb inside my collar. Now we all know that this could turn into many bow and arrow choke variations here. So this is bad. And I'm actually going to have him bring me to that side in a second, okay? The first thing is if anybody ever makes this grip, it is really important that you start to control this arm. Some people like to put a cup hand grip inside here and grab the wrist. It's just always been my personal preference to get fabric because it's got a gi, I might as well use it, and then another fabric grip up here close to the shoulder. And my goal here is to reverse engineer what he wants. He wants to draw his arm back this way so he can tighten the choke. You can hear my voice, sorry, starting to get tight. I want to do the opposite. I want to pull his elbow down and then across. And what that does, even if it feels like you're making the arm tighter, it's actually giving me some space. Now, the variation I'm about to show could be executed off of this grip set, or it could also be executed if I had a baseball bat grip on his wrist, and this is the no-gi variation. Whether or not he has my collar, he could just have like a regular seat belt, but the idea is I've got some form of a 2-on-1 on his arm, I'm making some space for myself, and I'm going to escape to the choking side. So he's going to bring me to that side. Already it's a good idea for me to start turning my hips to face the ceiling. This is just something I automatically do. I'm very uncomfortable sitting like this where we're both facing the exact same direction. Very uncomfortable for me. I always angle my hips automatically anytime I get taken to one side or the other. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use whatever space I've made for myself to loop my head out of here, but I'm going to do it in a very specific way. If I fight arm for arm against Joe, I'm not going to be able to take his arm up and around my head because he's just going to close his elbow. I'm just not going to be able to do it, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my feet on the mat and I'm going to think about pulling myself down into my shell. So I've already angled my hips, I've already angled my shoulders, I've already made some slack in this arm, so I'm just going to pull myself down. You'll see my body move down, I go into my shell, and then I move that arm around my head, okay? Now, of course, when the person's actually trying to choke you, not anywhere near that easy, okay? But that's the mechanic you have to have. The more you pull yourself down into your shell, the less you have to move the arm around your head. So I'm moving my body more than I'm moving the arms. But when I get to this position, I'm going to keep punching this across the body and down, and then I'm going to reclaim that space. I'm going to slide back up into that space. So I pull myself down into the shell, and then I bring myself back up, and I punch this arm across. Now because I chose 2 fabric grips, I've got a lot of power to keep punching this arm across his body. I'm not going to try to turn in because once again, he will either mount or get my back. So I'm going to continue activating my feet, continue bridging, and then look at my shoulders. Watch this left shoulder. Step, step. I'm just going to start walking them up the same way I did before. Okay, now he's got a lot less freedom to turn into me now because of the way I'm punching this across his body. So I can let go of my higher grip. I can force this knee into the half guard position. And once again, I've escaped to half guard. I no longer have my back taken. And he would still have a hell of a time scrambling on top given the grip that I have here. Main concept, whether it's gi or no gi, you want some type of 2-on-1 on this arm. Specifically, if he sinks this thumb into the collar, I really do like to get a low fabric grip, so like closer to the end of the sleeve. And look, I reach out like I'm saying hi, and I grab some fabric near the shoulder. I like both of those grips, okay? And then I pull down and I bring it across. Now you have to be careful if you're bringing it across but you're not pulling it down, you are actually pulling yourself into a rear naked choke if you're not careful. So it's not just across, it's down and across. So if he tries to pull that rear naked choke, he can't do it. His arm's trapped down here. All right, he's taking me to the choking side. So once again, I try to win good head position. I try to turn my hips. And now look, it's gonna be a matter of moving the arm around my head, pulling myself down in my shell. I'm gonna go slow-mo here. Like I pull myself down and move the arm around my head, and then I reclaim the space. I slide myself back up, and I punch the arm across the bottom, okay? Now I'm gonna keep punching this arm across, and I'm gonna start moving my shoulders. So hips facing the ceiling, shoulders facing the ceiling. I know I've said that like 10 times already, but it's just so important, okay? I bridge up. Left, right, left, right, left, right. And once I get to this position, I keep the top grip. I can catch his pant leg here. I can either push the knee if I feel more comfortable doing that, or if I feel like I need to catch some fabric and lift this up into half guard, I can do that as well.